The Vietnam National Museum of Fine Arts is on Nguyễn Thái Học Street in Hanoi. It displays Vietnam's art following different historical periods. I used to work as an intern there. During that time, I got to know all the things the museum was doing to raise awareness of Vietnamese art. Sometimes they would host an activity day for children or an exhibition for a Vietnamese artist. Almost 3 years later returning, I expected to see some improvements of infrastructure or service, and I did. Displaying about 3,000 items of Vietnamese art from ceramics to paintings and sculptures since its opening in 1966, for over 50 years, the museum has served as a medium of education for multiple generations. Without these displays, relics of the nation's art would have been wiped from people's memories long ago. Aside from hosting activity days for children to raise interest and knowledge in Vietnamese art, the museum also has mobile exhibitions in which they go to different places to educate people about art. Since the majority of guests visiting the museum are foreigners, the museum has a significant role in pushing international development. It introduces Vietnamese art to foreigners and engages them in Vietnamese culture. This leads to a rise in international interest in Vietnam and consequently a rise in foreign investment. Not only does Vietnam become more noticeable on the international map, but also more global. In recent years, the museum has taken measures to attract more foreigners, such as setting up a souvenir shop on the front. The museum communicates a sense of cultural identity for Vietnam. In 1986, the Vietnamese government introduced Đổi Mới, a series of economic reforms aiming to create a socialist-oriented market economy. Along with these reforms, Western culture seeped into Vietnamese society. Nowadays, a lot of Vietnamese traditional culture is disappearing from people's lives, especially when our youth so often leans towards Western culture. The museum is a reminder of Vietnamese culture, specifically in the field of art. In the modern age of Vietnam, many forms of entertainment are emerging, driving people's attention away from traditional art. Shopping malls, escape rooms, and cinemas are attracting the young generation's focus. The museum encourages people to rediscover the nation's art as a form of traditional entertainment. The activity days it hosts for children also act as guidance for the new generation to look up from their screens for a moment to look back on Vietnam's rich history of art. Visiting the museum, I found that from the end of the 19th century, when the French colonized Vietnam, they made a huge cultural impact on Vietnamese society as a whole and the art scene in particular. Because of their influence, Vietnamese modern art was established. The museum gave me an insight on how, although the French colonization took its toll on Vietnamese people, it also brought the French culture with it and pushed certain aspects of Vietnamese art forward. In today's Vietnam, where modernization is so fast-paced, it's important to preserve sites like the Vietnam National Museum of Fine Arts. It is a site with huge historical significance that lets us revisit the things that made us Vietnamese.